Hey everyone, my name is Taps, and OMI has floated around the same price and below its all-time high now for almost a year. We've been patient, we've been dollar cost averaging down, but will this ever change? Of course, we know that the exchanges are coming, we know that more is happening now that we're on Immutable X, but what about OMI in the long term? Well, if you listen to the recent AMA with Jeremy Padawer, Cavell Anderson, myself, and Real Ronnie Chavez, Jeremy dropped a ton of incredible life lesson knowledge, but there was one beautiful gem of knowledge that he mentioned in those 2.5 hours that was specific on OMI and HODLing. It left me extremely excited. So in this video, I'm going to share why OMI is an incredibly lucrative crypto to HODL based on what Jeremy said and what that time frame looks like and why. As always, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the community, feel free to subscribe. I'm a crypto, stock, and real estate investor, but never a financial advisor. So we're going to replay what he said. We're going to get into the numbers. We're going to see just how much OMI is burning, what a supply shock is. But before we do so, just a quick recap on who Jeremy Padawer is for those who are newer to the Ecomi and Veve fam. Jeremy Padawer has been active on Twitter and on YouTube and is a big supporter of Ecomi and Veve because he is affiliated directly with them, but he is the chief brand officer at Jazzwares. But before that, he was the brand marketing manager at Mattel. And then after that at Jakks Pacific. He then was the co-president of Wicked Cool Toys, which was acquired by Jazzwares, where he is now the chief brand officer, who is the global master licensed toy partner of Pokemon, Cocomelon, Fortnite, Halo, Roblox, Cabbage Patch Kids, Teddy Ruxpin, AEW, wrestling, in key partnerships with Crayola, Nickelodeon, Disney, Microsoft, Google, Hasbro, and more. In our AMA with Jeremy, he actually touched on the fact that Jazzwares is somewhere around the top 5 or top 10 toy companies in the US behind Mattel and Hasbro. But Jeremy first found out about Ecomi and Veve back in 2018 when Dan, David, and Al showed him, and back then he was skeptical, which back in 2018, most of the world, most licensors were actually pretty hesitant towards NFTs. And I couldn't find the tweet, but I've shown it in past videos that I believe in 2020 was when Jeremy actually signed on as some form of affiliate partner advisor with Ecomi and Veve. Now, let's get to what he says. Because I've done a lot of videos on OMI, I've spoken about what the long-term vision is. I've actually said where I think the price will be come 2025, but you don't have to take my word for it. Take it for someone who's a direct partner advisor with Ecomi and Veve and listen to his explanation. He already had the numbers off the top of his head ready to go and explained it very well. Listen.
I like to paint a logical picture and then let people decide what it is what they want to do. And so here's my logical picture. The non-circulating supply is, I'll just make it a round number, something like 250 billion tokens, around about 240, 230. And the daily burn on an average day is around 80 million on the secondary market and around another 50 and 200 million on the primary market, depending on the sizable drop. Today, they have about 1.5 million active users. So if you grow at 30,000 users a day for 365 days, that's 10 million new users, easy. So just using logic, and let's just say it goes from 1.5 to 7.5. It sees a 5x growth over a year. But you can't take the total 5x. You have to take the average, because that's what the average will be over the course of the 365 days. The median between 1.5 and 7.5 is 4.5. So that means over the course of the year, on any day, you put them all out there. If you go from 1.5 in the beginning to 7.5 in the end, the average day you'll have 4.5 million users, which is a 3x growth on what the secondary market would bring. So if the average today is 80, then the average over the course of the next 12 months is 240 on a secondary market. This is all theoretical. It doesn't mean it's absolutely happening. This is just math to prove a point. Forget 240. Let's say it's 200 million a day. The secondary market average over the next 365 days is 70 billion OMI. And then you have your primary market drops. If the token doesn't move and you use just basic logic in terms of growth, you could have 70 billion OMI burned on the secondary market. Let's just say on the low end, if the token doesn't move, 50 billion OMI. On the high end, if the token doesn't move, 100 billion OMI. So it burns the entire reserve in 2.5 to 5 years. Math that's based on if I were working in a financial institution, if I was working as a consultant, or if I'm projecting my future as a business owner, that's math that I would use, and I would feel comfortable using math communicating with other people. So if the token doesn't move, then you burn the entire reserve in 2.5 to 5 years. But if the token moves, that changes. In the meantime, they're launching other things that will also move the secondary token market, the non-circulating supply and the circulating supply. The conclusion that I draw is one that I don't point to directly, okay? But it's the reason why I am a heavy investor in OMI.
So there you heard it. I mean, a lot of numbers discussed, a lot of information shared, but Jeremy, in a nutshell, said, if we only hit 7.5 million users this year, the average would be around 4.5 million users. He also threw out an average daily burn amount based on OMI staying where it's at its price today. If nothing changed, which we know is not going to happen. But that also doesn't factor in all of the things that are going to happen with OMI being used and increasing burns and the user growth almost definitely going higher than just 7.5 million this year. I've shared a video on why I think 20 million users this year alone is very possible, which you can check out up top. But you heard him, right? We will be able to burn through all of the reserves, assumably, in the next 2.5 to 5 years, which this would then create a very drastic supply shock. I'm sure we see buybacks. The scarcity of OMI will go up substantially. And looking at what happens to other crypto, when there is a supply shock, when there is less supply of a total coin, the price goes nuts. And Jeremy has been laying out a pathway of breadcrumbs, saying since earlier last year that something like this was going to happen. March 25th, I think people are underestimating the burn of OMI. They were third grossing app in beta with very few license drops, limited marketing. This was before Marvel. This was before Disney. We still don't have marketing. The burn will be real. As the token disappears, the licenses drop and awareness grows, the tokens will burn. And again, on July 18th, so OMI burned 500 million tokens today on a single drop. At current pricing, Ecomi would burn approximately 100% of the OMI token supply after 800 to 900 drops. Marvel has 3,000 characters, 100 other licenses. That's 100 other brands and licensors that we know Ecomi and Veve have that we have not yet seen. It will be fun to track this one. No promises. That's his way of saying not financial advice. Then again, November 27th, Veve has 1.1 million users. We now have more. Burning 30 to 40 billion OMI per year at this pricing. That's 6 to 7 years to blow up the entire reserves. Notice how the numbers keep getting lower. And he lowered this because what's happening? Our user growth is going up. Our burning amount is going up. And again, he said, if nothing changed, but we know that the price of OMI will go up, which means less will burn, but we know that other things are happening that will cause larger burns. Circulation supply, burn program version 1.0 communicated this week. Veveverse coming, maybe 5x users end of 2022. Again, 5x users I think is ultra conservative. Now let's get into the numbers, because the numbers, when you have them in front of you, make all the difference. And shout out to Puddin' Cheeks for having this incredible spreadsheet that helps me track the OMI burns per week, per day. I mean, this is incredible. But check out Puddin' Cheeks on Twitter. Check out his YouTube. His YouTube's freaking hilarious. New monthly records, 4.4 billion OMI burned, that's in January, and 62.8 million gems purchased on Veve in the first month of 2022. 62 million gems. Unbelievable. But 4.4 billion OMI burned, that's over 1 billion OMI burned per week. There wasn't a massive license drop like with Marvel or with Disney. This is just based on the drops that we saw this month because there's a lot of focus on OMI this month. But despite that, we're seeing consistently now over 1 billion OMI burnt every single week. Zooming out, there's been just about 28 billion total burned, circulating supply of 241 billion. So to Jeremy's point, if nothing changed, if OMI's price stayed the same, and we didn't have all these catalysts about to happen to actually give OMI utility, which it still doesn't have besides the fact that it just burns with gems, we would be burning around 60 billion OMI a year. And if you're not a charts person, you can also track this data with Ecomi data on Twitter, but not everything is going to stay the same. The price of OMI is going to go up with the exchanges and several other factors, so this will decrease the burns. But we know that the user base is going to increase. We know that there's going to be continuously more drops. We know that OMI is going to be taken out of supply to be staked. We know that OMI to NFTs will become a thing. We've already seen that you can actually sell NFTs for OMI with Immutable X. not including the other marketplaces that will be coming. The Ecomi Veve team have already touched on that there will be burn events, and that OMI will be used in other projects in the future, not to mention the Veveverse. So all of that piled on the fact that when localization hits and when more brands drop, we're most likely going to see realistically a 10 to 15x on our user growth this year. The balance between OMI going up in price and burning less, how many catalysts are going to affect the OMI burn, it's going to balance out. So the law of averages kind of works out to assuming that nothing is going to change when it comes to the OMI burn. So what Jeremy said is OMI is going to burn through the reserves in 2.5 to 5 years. But 2.5 to 3.5 years really sounds like it's more spot on. Veve is not stopping its growth. It's just continuously growing and growing and growing. And with localization around the corner, it's about to get stupid. So what happens at that 2.5 year point or before that is a supply shock, which has happened to many, many crypto. Those who don't understand, a supply shock is an unexpected rapid decrease in the supply of a product that directly impacts its price. Scarcity, right? We already understand scarcity. This is relevant towards the actual crypto itself. When the market is facing a negative supply, which causes asset price to increase rapidly. So yes, there is a ton of OMI, which that's why a ton of people didn't want to invest in it back in the early days of March and April. They were just like, nope, too big a supply. But the Veve team created OMI to really last a long time because they knew Veve was going to be successful, but it would probably take a while. They didn't expect Veve to have explosive growth and to do as well as it has. So that window for how long OMI is needed has shrunk. And so that explosive growth we saw initially from just February all the way up to March, that was nothing. It may look like a massive spike today, which it was. And in my opinion, we will go past this all-time high this year. In the long term, this big spike is going to look like a small peak. For visual reference, it's going to look like the peak that happened in 2018 with Ethereum, and this is what we're looking at in late 2024 to sometime in 2025. The argument that everyone says is, won't that have the market cap be absolutely massive? The market cap will be higher, but so will all of the top 50, top 20 crypto by that point as well. So no, OMI's not going to overtake Bitcoin or Ethereum, but it will be a top 20 and most likely a top 10 crypto for sure. So I share this because I'm always looking for long holds. Like, I can swing trade stocks all day, but with crypto, you never know what's going to happen in the market. To me, it makes sense to HODL bets that are sure things because OMI is attached to Veve's success, because we have not seen its utility yet, even though it's directly in front of us this year. And because, just like Jeremy, we can apply pretty simple numbers to determine that we are on a path towards success and that this coin is an ultimate HODL. And some of you are like, Taps, 2.5 years, really? And I get it. There's a lot of other crypto moves that you can make where you could make a lot more, or you could lose a lot more. To me, OMI almost acts like a savings account, like a 401k. Like I just tuck it away and I know I'm going to come back to it and it's going to be higher. The return on this investment in 2.5 years versus a 401k, a stock, most crypto is going to be substantial. And when you think about other crypto, how many do you feel confident enough are going to actually last through a bear cycle? That's the piece that's always a big risk with crypto, unless you're betting on the top 10, which you know price may not move as much as a lower cap altcoin like OMI. And of those other options, there are even less choices that you know will actually continue to become more scarce, gaining utility, and will be in a perfect position in the future going into a supply shock. Veve's success at this stage is pretty much carved in stone. That means OMI will continue to burn. OMI will be used for NFTs in Veve. OMI will be continuously removed out of supply to be staked for rewards in Veve. It will be used in the Veveverse, burning events, used in other projects. And that's just what we know so far. So I think Jeremy hit it right on the money. OMI will be in short supply and we will see a supply shock in the next 2.5 years plus. This was the entire reason why I changed my mind. I originally said I don't think OMI will hit $1 probably until 2027, 2028. And then I did a video where I said, I actually did the numbers. I changed my mind. I truly believe OMI will hit $1 sometime around 2025. So that means $1 million of OMI, which right now today is $7,000 roughly, in 2.5 to 3 years can be $1 million USD. Again, not financial advice, no guarantees, but the math is there. So just like Uncle Jeremy, I HODL my OMI bag and I look forward to what's going to happen in the next few years. As always, I hope you found my content valuable, and if so, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. Likes and comments appease the algo overlords and help my channel continue to grow. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button, notification bell for future content. That's it for today. I'm Taps. Thank you for your time, man. Happy trading.